Hey guys, I hope everything is going great. I really hope that these videos can help you guys grow spiritually and grow in the knowledge of God too. I was thinking about it last time and I was like, I really hope that they help in some way. If you guys have any questions or feedback or concerns, just let me know or write it in the comment section below. So let's get into the topic. There is a quote that says, "Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character." I think that sometimes we don't take thoughts too seriously because we think, well, no one really knows what I'm thinking, or I'm not hurting anybody by what I think, anyways. But believe it or not, guys, Scripture talks about the importance of thinking good and holy thoughts. A couple of days ago, I had some disagreements with different people and I guess life things that happen. Um, and I found myself really frustrated, but I kind of kept it inside. And I was just thinking kind of like negative, bad thoughts all the time. And I kept thinking, like, this isn't right. Like, I need to think of thoughts. But then again, the negative thoughts will come. And during this same time, I was reading scripture, as I always try to do. And I came across a Bible verse that really confronted me. I mean, I was really happy to read this verse because it kind of was like a confirmation, like, hey. So Matthew 9:4, that's the Bible verse. In this verse, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees and says, knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts?" And bam, I felt like that went straight to me. Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your heart, Abby? And I was like, wow, like that is so true. While Jesus was saying this to the Pharisees, it should be a lesson for us too. How many times do we claim to be good Christians, but in the end keep thinking and harvesting evil thoughts in our mind that are not going to help us or benefit us at all spiritually? Now, our thoughts are very important. We see another example of this in the Bible with Abraham's wife. Just a little background on Abraham. He is known as the father of faith because he left his country to go somewhere where God called him to go, not knowing where his destination was. He went anyways, because of the faith that he had in God. So, his wife Sarah, she went too, and we can tell in the Bible verses that I'm going to read that Sarah also had trouble handling her thoughts. When she heard that she was going to have a child, she thought and laughed to herself. She was very old, and it seemed a bit impossible for God to do this. A child at such an old age. So let me read the Bible verses. Genesis 18:12-15 says, "So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, 'After I am worn out, my Lord, will I now have this pleasure?'" Yeah, kind of like, what? Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have this child now that I am too old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Verse 15 says, "Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, 'I did not laugh.' But he said, 'Yes, you did.'" God cannot be played with. He knows all things. Maybe it's not about others knowing our thoughts, because you're right, others don't know what we're thinking, but God does know what we're thinking. I think that's what truly matters. So much time when Jesus was on the earth, he taught and said that before the law stated that people that would physically commit adultery would be punished. But Jesus holds us up to a higher standard. So much that, as we saw the example of Sarah, and now we're going to see another example that Jesus taught himself. In Matthew 5:28, he says, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery in his heart." Why? Because just by looking at a woman or at a man lustfully, you automatically can think bad thoughts that are not holy and not pure. And because of that, the Apostle Paul writes about the importance of dying to self. In 1 Corinthians 10:5, we read of the self-control the believer must have. And we read another verse about thoughts. It says, we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. Not to ourselves, not to our pleasure, not to what we want, but to Christ. They knew that the flesh was weak. We know that we fail God every day. So instead of taking life easy, the believer is on the lookout, taking captive every thought and submitting it to Christ. Brothers and sisters, press on and fight the good fight of faith. Keep the minds thinking good, holy, and honorable things that will benefit the believer. For God knows all things. May we keep ourselves pure and our thoughts holy.